At the heart of these container systems is a pipeline where the application code and the container code moves down a sort of conveyor belt through development and eventually into operations where the users can use the system. Because both the application, the building of the images, and even the orchestration of the containers is expressed as code, there's going to be a lot of projects that result from one of these container systems. You're going to have some kind of application project with a bunch of code and dependencies and artifacts, and then you'll have a build project of some sort, and most likely some kind of orchestration project to make it all work together when you're trying to deploy the system. And all this code has to be stored somewhere that it won't get confused, lost, mixed up, or leaked. And for this, code repositories are used that are stored in some kind of a code registry. GitHub is a real popular example used by a lot of different teams, but there are others as well, like Azure DevOps is also very popular. To get information or code into these repositories, there's going to be some kind of a push to push the code up to the repository. And as you have more and more projects, you'll end up pushing the code after getting done working on it for the day so that the repository has the latest copy. These repos also allow multiple developers to work on the same code and then without stepping onto each other's toes and messing up code that was written up earlier before somebody else came along and made some changes that might have a conflict of some sort or another. So the repos are going to keep all that straight. Using GitHub as an example of one of these projects or repositories, we can see a bunch of different projects inside that are each inside of their own repo. And these repositories will be under your account when you create it inside of the registry. So with GitHub, the different repositories are stored on the home screen here, and then you can click into the repositories in order to see the code that's stored inside. Also, if you're going to contribute some changes, you want to make a copy of the project. So you'll grab the address to the project, which will be some sort of a URL. And then on your development machine, you can make a copy or clone the project over onto your machine, work on it, make your changes for the day. And then when you're done, you'll be able to push the changes back up to the repository. And you'll be notified if there's any kind of conflicts with work that's being done by other developers. So after making a copy of that particular repo, we have a new folder that has a copy of that code inside. And here you can also see some of those other projects, Matilda Docker and Matilda Docker Hub project as well. So the Matilda project in this example is the application code, and the Matilda Docker is the build code. And of course, this will vary from system to system. This is just an example of one particular containerized application. So not only the application, but also the build code and the orchestration projects like the Docker Compose or the Kubernetes files can all be kept in code repository to keep the code safe, to keep it backed up, and again, to allow that collaboration between all the developers. So you'll see these repos at the heart of all of these containerized development pipelines, managing that conveyor belt as the code gets passed from step to step, and different components in the process kick in to help build the application and eventually deploy the application out into the production environment.